Yes.
Your Honor, may I adjust the podium?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Just understand if y'all put anything on the video, just move out the way.
I will make sure I am not blocking.
If you happen, we'll, I'll turn the mic off.
Thank you, sir. You ready? Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name for the record.
Kayla Nix.
And Ms. Nix, where do you live?
I live in Wauchula, Florida.
And how long have you lived there for?
I was born and raised there. I left after high school and then came back probably a decade later and have been back in the community since 2016.
May I ask you a few questions about your family?
Absolutely.
Who do you live with?
My husband,
And
Drew
who is
Schock.
that? No, sorry, who is that?
Drew Schock.
Anyone else live with you?
I do have a 5.5-year-old son. His name is Asher. And then I also have a 4.5-month-old baby girl. Her name is Adriel.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And can I ask you a few questions about the rest of your family?
Absolutely.
Do you have any brothers, sisters?
I do. I have one sister. Her name is Rebecca Tucker.
And is she married?
Yes, to Jonathan Tucker.
And do they have any children?
Yes, they do. They have two, Cooper and Aiden.
And who is Noon Nix?
None Nix
None Nix,
is
I'm
my,
sorry.
yeah, that's my father.
I apologize for the
No worries.
pronunciation.
He goes by Nay, so I might refer to him as such.
And how about Tracy Nix? Who is that?
That is my mother.
And is she in the courtroom today?
She is.
Could you identify her by an article of clothing she's wearing?
Absolutely. She is wearing a dress with purple, pink, black, and white.
Thank you, ma'am. The record should reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
So reflect.
And where does she live?
She also lives in Wauchula, Florida.
Okay. And Wauchula, that's in Hardy?
Yes, Hardy County.
Now, I'm sorry about this, but I have to go back to November 1st of 2022, okay?
Okay.
All right. Can I ask you about one more person?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you know a Uriel Schock?
I did. I did. That's my daughter. Excuse me. She was born in 2022, and she was my rainbow baby that I got to have a beautiful 7 months with before I was notified that she was deceased.
Okay, and we're going to get there, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But she was 7 months old around November?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And so that day, November 1st of 2022, what were you doing that day, ma'am?
My husband and I own a small business in Wauchula, A1 Safari Glass. I have always been a full-time mom first before my career, and so every one of my children actually go to work with me every day that I attend work, unless they're sick.
And so did Yuri go to work with you that day?
Yes, my daughter went to work with me that day, and typically my routine was to leave at lunch so that I could get the baby home, get them fed, and then let them nap, let her nap in, her own room. So.
And I'm sorry, you called Uriel Yuri?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yuri.
And so, well, did you follow that plan that day, or was it different?
Well, that day began out most similarly to all my other days. Get up in the morning. My daughter and I went to my office. We began the work day. I remembered I had a hair appointment, and I reached out to my mother at that point and asked if she was busy.
Let me ask you this. How did you reach out to her?
Via text.
Okay. And were you able to get a hold of your mom?
Yes, I was.
And what was the nature of that conversation you had with her?
I don't remember specifically if we actually had a phone call or if it was exclusively text message, but the question was, I have a hair appointment at this certain location, and she responded that she had a lunch with a few of her friends. Those friends are people that I've grown up with my entire life. So I certainly felt comfortable in that circumstance, allowing my daughter to go to the restaurant with my mom. That restaurant was pretty much in the same block as the hair salon that I went to. So I knew I would be nearby.
Excellent. And how long was she going to take care of her?
From pre-lunch, whenever she picked her up to go to the lunch, I probably left 20 minutes or so before she arrived at my office to pick up my daughter. And then the plan was for my husband to stop back by their house at the end of the day, when he leaves our business, pick up our daughter and come home.
And the end of the day, what's the end of the day for your business typically?
4:30 or 5.
And he was going to go where to pick her up?
To my parents' house on Kazan Road to pick her up.
So, you went to your hair appointment?
I did. Yes.
And from the time that you completed your hair appointment, when was the next time you heard anything about your daughter?
I finished my hair appointment pretty soon. It was not a long appointment. I'd say it was about 75 minutes. And at that point, I went home to begin dinner and move the laundry and just start an evening routine that I would typically do at home with my child. So I went home expecting my husband to pick up my daughter from my parents' house.
Okay.
And the next time that I heard another thing about her was Officer David Drake outside of my home in Wauchula.
And we'll get there in a moment, if you
Okay.
don't mind.
Absolutely.
So between the time that you saw the officer and the time that you left your hair appointment, did you have any communications with your mother?
I do not believe that I did.
Okay. Now, let me back up for one moment. I apologize. Does your mom have everything she needs to take care of Uri whenever she takes her, or do you have to supply those to her?
Absolutely. I always pack her bag for the office, so she comes every day that we leave the house. She does come with a bag full of multiple supplies items. But then at her house, my sister had children, and they actually lived in her home for a while. So there was a bedroom dedicated to just whatever grandchild was at the house at that time. And so she actually has a crib there, changing table, or no, not a changing table, just simply a dresser with diapers and clothing and
Okay.
all of the things.
And then on that day, did you supply your mom with anything to help take care of Uri?
Absolutely, yes. I sent her with a standard bag that I would pack for myself. So she would have multiple clothes, diapers, wipes, creams, food.
And does she have a car seat in her vehicle, or does one have to be put in there?
One has to be put in there.
Okay. So when she picked up Uri that day, she would have also had to put the car seat in?
Absolutely. She typically put her seat in behind the driver's seat.
Okay.
So
So let's go to the point where the officer showed up at your door.
Okay.
Was that? Do you remember what time of day that was approximately?
my guess would be 2:30, 3 o'clock. I was not on any sort of a regimented schedule at that point, so it would have been sometime between probably 3 and
Okay.
4, I would imagine.
Now this was a while ago?
Absolutely, it's 2 years ago.
Okay. Whatever time that might have been.
Right.
Why did the officer show up at your door?
He showed up at my door to notify me that my child was deceased. That his words were, "Your baby is dead. Your daughter is dead. Your child is deceased, and we need you to come with us.
Okay.
I have to identify the body."
Okay. Where did you go, ma'am?
I got in the vehicle with the sheriff that came to get me. They did not believe that I should be driving, which I agree. And he took me to the Florida Advent Hospital in Wauchula.
Okay. And you said you had to identify Uri?
Yes, I did.
And you saw her?
I was not with my husband in that moment, and so as soon as we found each other in that parking lot, which was sheer insanity, then we went in together to look at our daughter and identify her body.
I'm sorry we had to go through this. I have no
It's
further
okay.
questions, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Just hold on one second, I need to make a note.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you indicated that you had a hair appointment that day.
Yes, I did.
And when did you make that hair appointment?
I would typically make them at the end of my last hair appointment. So it would have been 5 or 6 weeks, but I never added to my calendar. They send a text reminder to your phone. So I was reminded of that text that morning.
So it was just a few hours before you were supposed to be there
Yes, sir.
when they bothered to tell you that you were supposed to be there. Didn't give you much time.
Correct. Well, I was my fault for never entering it into my calendar, but that was the text that reminded me that morning that I had not made arrangements.
Something that probably happens a lot in doctor's appointments, hair appointments, and other things.
I mean, to be frank, most of the time my children go with me pretty well everywhere. I believe that was one of the first times that I went to my hair, did one appointment that was just a personal thing, that wasn't a doctor's appointment, that wasn't concerning one of the children.
So we'll say it was a kind of a last minute deal.
The child care plan was, yes.
And you notified your mother for the first time,
Yes.
approximately what time?
My guess would be that text would have come in 9 to maybe 10:30, so I only had a few hours.
Did you have any knowledge that your mom had a Bible study scheduled that day?
I did not know it, obviously, when I reached out to her. She might have mentioned it, although it's been 2 years. But I also could have very well taken her with me, as my daughter had, in fact, attended every other hair appointment and any appointment that I had for myself otherwise at that time. So this was the first time it was doing something for myself, not a medical appointment.
And did your mother advise you that she had this meeting?
I do not recall.
Okay. But she agreed to take the child.
She did.
All right. And she was supposed to take care of her most of the day until about 4:30?
If you call most of the day lunch to 4:30, I would say, the afternoon.
We'll say the afternoon then.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor, and I would ask the witness to be released from this.
All right. Defense, you agree?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Nixon. You're released from your seat. You may sit in the courtroom.
Thank you.
All right, second witness, Jay.
Yes, Your Honor.